Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. I thought it might be fun for us to take a minute and talk a little bit about practicing. So primarily I'll be talking about dance practicing, belly dance in particular, but the tips and tricks I'm going to share with you today would also apply for yoga, for fitness, for any kind of activity that you'd like to incorporate more of in your life. So let me just start by saying that I completely empathize with you if you're having a difficult time fitting a dance practice or yoga or achieving your goals, whatever they are. If you're struggling with that, know that is completely normal and that I completely understand. In this journey, in this practice of enjoying a hobby or activity, we don't shoot for perfection. We just kind of keep working at the process, hopefully learning something and having a little bit of fun and enjoyment along the way. That is our goal, not perfection. But having said that, I'd love to share with you just a couple tips and tricks that I have experienced and that have been helpful to me over the years. Feel free to, add in your own or take them or leave them. What works for me may not work for you, but hopefully they'll be helpful and perhaps give you a few ideas or something to think about. So tip number one that I have is start small. I think too often we try to start big. We think, I want to fit more belly dance in, so I have to practice at least an hour, or I have to buy a class package, or I have to do XYZ, buy the hip scarves and the gear. And while all of those things are great, and I definitely don't want to discourage you from taking classes from a knowledgeable instructor or any of those things, you can get better just even in small increments. So let's say, for example, a nice little rule of thumb I have is maybe practice 15 minutes each day. Start small, but do your best to be consistent. Again, being kind to yourself, being gentle with yourself. If you miss a day or a practice, it's not a big deal. Having said that, and 15 minutes seems to be the magic number for me. I seem to be able to fit that in just about any day, any time. Another thing that has helped me in that is doing a process. It's a psychological process. They've had studies done about this. It's called chunking. Yeah. So what is chunking? Chunking is we all have habits and activities that we do every single day. Like, for example, perhaps we brush our teeth, or we shower, or we take the dog on a walk. These are all activities that are non-negotiable. They've become a habit. They're part of our everyday life. Well, my suggestion for you is that think about, with this new habit you're trying to build, can you tack it on to one of these activities? So for example, let's say I walk the dog every day, and every day after my walk, I'm gonna take 15 minutes to do a few yoga stretches or a few dance practice moves to some music. When you look at it that way, it's not as challenging to do. And the cool part about using this chunking technique is that it kind of tricks the brain into making this new activity a habit. It's a lot easier than like, okay, I'm gonna buy my dance bag gear and I'm gonna buy this, and then I'm gonna, and then I'm gonna drive 45 minutes to go to this class. It's just a lot of times when we're starting a new habit, we want to make it as easy and as smooth to incorporate into our daily life as possible. So if you can tack on your activity onto something you already do, chances are you'll be able to implement that more often than you would otherwise. So start small and just do your best to be consistent. And throughout all of this too, it's so important to keep a positive attitude. You want to try to be your own best cheerleader, your advocate for yourself. You know, even if you do something like this one time, be happy for that one time because you did it, you made that effort. So definitely developing that attitude of positivity and support for yourself is definitely going to help you as well. So my second tip I want to share with you is to make practicing dance, yoga, or fitness a habit is to write it down. So if you are a office supply nerd like I am, this is very exciting for you. There are so many ways in this modern day and age to write things down. Perhaps you have a calendar on your phone. Just put a little block in each day, or maybe even just once a week to start, once or twice a week, to practice your activity of choice for 15 minutes. Send that little reminder. And again, if you don't do it every time, that's okay. But if you do it, 1 out of 5 times, that's more than if you wouldn't have. If you're old school, you like your paper, there's so many options. You can get fun journals like this. Whee! This is one of my journals. I have several things, but where each week you write down when you practice. And if you're like me, I'm very goal driven, very technique focused, then I can look back at the end of the week, tally up all of my numbers and be like, oh my God, it seemed like I was only practicing for 20 minutes, but I got in, an hour and a half, 2 hours practice. So that can be rewarding. You may just go with a standard notebook. Find one that maybe speaks to you. There's lots of fun ones online or in stores, and just write down your practice for that day, your goals, whatever comes to mind. It's important when you're developing a new habit to just let yourself express yourself in the way that works best for you. I'm a little more structured maybe than some dancers, but if that's not your bag, if you something else works better for you, then you got to do it. You got to do what's right for you. I also have a binder because that's not enough, right? Where you can have lovely charts of practice goals, training plans, things like that. When I'm working with the Salonpour School, we set out goals and training plans. I'll be happy to share those with you if you are interested. So that is my rule 2 for you, is just writing it down, finding what works for you, if that works for you. So again, we're all different. So that brings me to rule number 3, and that is goal setting, reviewing your goals. And sometimes people will say, gosh, I don't have any goals. I just want to have fun. This is fun for me. This is my me time. That is totally fine. I think it's good to revisit why you want to do this activity, why you want to dance, why you want to practice yoga or exercise. There is no right or wrong reason here. If you say, let's say for example, belly dance, you say, well, what I love about belly dance is I love the friendship and the camaraderie. I like hanging with my friends. Write that down. That could be a goal for you. During the age of COVID, it has become really challenging to practice with other people, but perhaps you could schedule a once a week Zoom class with a local instructor, or get your friends together. Heck, you could practice in your backyard once a week and get that social time and get that recharge if that's what motivates you. So just think about that. I like to, about once a year, write out my goals for the year and then just kind of check in periodically. And again, being kind to yourself. If you don't accomplish the goals, no big deal. It's just more giving you some ideas of what you want to practice or what excites you. And that brings me to actually my last main goal, or I'm sorry, a last main tip for you, which is if the idea of goals freaks you out, or you're like, gosh, again, this is just for fun, I just want to do yoga, I want to relieve stress, that is okay. I think setting the goals, no matter what they are, will help point you in a direction of what will spark your creativity. So I invite you for tip 4 to look into exploring other aspects of your chosen art or craft or activity. So what do I mean by that? Let's say you are a belly dancer and you're feeling a little burnout, like, meh, I don't want to practice. It's just not exciting for me. Maybe look into trying a different style of belly dance or listening to a different type of music than you usually do. Perhaps look into some of the other aspects of dance. So maybe look into the history or look into sewing. There are just so many aspects. And again, this works exactly the same for yoga or fitness. If you are tired of your yoga practice, perhaps try a different style of yoga or look into some of the history and philosophy. If you like meditation, perhaps try a different style of meditation. There are many different styles and teachers out there that can sometimes help spark creativity as well. So those were my 4 main tips for you. But I just invite you throughout this whole process to really be kind to yourself, be consistent, find a way, if you can, to make your practice time special, to make it something that is a treat or a reward for you, not a drudgery. If you can find a way to look at practice as a special pause in your day just for you, or time to connect with your creative side or connect with body, relax, all of these things, you are more apt to do it. So I hope these tips and tricks have been fun. As always, I thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support and attention, and I hope to see you again in person real soon, okay? Thank you so much.